For decades, it was hailed as the miracle mineral, woven into the very fabric of our lives, our homes, our schools, our workplaces. But while the asbestos industry was building an empire, it was also bearing a deadly secret. This is the story of how corporate greed silenced science and cost countless lives. The story starts not with the discovery of asbestos's dangers, but with the industry's awareness of them. As early as the 1930s, internal documents from major companies like Johns Manville and Asbestos Manhattan showed their own doctors and scientists were raising alarms. They knew asbestos fibers, when inhaled, could scar the lungs, leading to a crippling disease called asbestosis and later, a fatal cancer known as mesothelioma. But this information was a threat to their billion-dollar business. So they chose a strategy not of safety but of silence. Their first line of defense was to control the narrative. They funded their own research labs, like the Saranac Laboratory in New York, not to find the truth, but to manufacture doubt. When independent scientists submitted studies showing the link between asbestos and cancer, the industry's lawyers would swoop in. They would demand edits, threaten lawsuits, and pressure scientific journals to water down or completely reject the findings. A memo from 1949, written by a Johns Manville attorney, bluntly stated their policy was to not publish any information on asbestosis, period. This wasn't just about protecting trade secrets. It was about hiding a public health crisis. They also created powerful lobbying groups. The Asbestos Textile Institute and the Asbestos Information Association were presented as neutral sources of information. In reality, they were industry-funded mouthpieces designed to downplay risks. They published articles, sponsored conferences, and told the public that asbestos was safe if handled properly. Knowing full well that proper handling was often impossible in the real world of construction sites and factories, they crafted a message of reassurance, all while their own internal reports detailed the growing number of sick and dying workers. Imagine being a doctor in the 1950s, seeing patient after patient with scarred lungs, all of them having worked around asbestos. You want to publish your findings to warn others. But then you receive a letter from a powerful corporate lawyer suggesting your research is flawed. Your methods are questionable, and publication would be a grave mistake. This was the reality for many researchers. The pressure was immense. Journals, reliant on advertising revenue and fearful of legal battles, often caved. Key studies that could have saved lives were delayed, altered, or never saw the light of day. For example, Dr. Wilhelm Hooper of the National Cancer Institute faced immense pushback from the industry when he tried to classify asbestos as a carcinogen. They tried to discredit him, calling him an alarmist. But the truth has a way of coming out, often through the sheer courage of individuals. One of the key turning points was a 1964 conference on the biological effects of asbestos, organized by Dr. Irving Selikoff at Mount Sinai Hospital. Selikoff and his team had meticulously tracked the health of insulation workers in New York and New Jersey. His findings were undeniable and shocking. The workers were dying from asbestos-related diseases at horrifyingly high rates. He presented his data to a room full of scientists, doctors, and crucially, industry representatives. The evidence was so overwhelming that the industry's wall of denial began to crack. They could no longer pretend the problem didn't exist. The final dam broke in the 1970s, not in a lab, but in a courtroom. As more and more workers fell ill, they began to sue. During the legal discovery process, lawyers for the victims unearthed a treasure trove of internal company documents, the memos, the secret reports, the letters from worried doctors that had been hidden for decades. These documents, which came to be known as the Asbestos Papers, were the smoking gun. They proved, in the industry's own words, that they had known about the dangers for over 40 years and had actively conspired to hide them from their workers and the public. One of the most infamous documents was a set of minutes from a 1935 meeting at Asbestos Manhattan. In it, the company president is quoted questioning the wisdom of their medical directors sharing information about asbestosis with the medical journal Asbestosis. The company, as legal counsel, then suggests that their official policy should be that they have no knowledge of the condition, stating, "It is our desire to have our name and all of our connections with the laboratory's work on asbestos kept secret." It was a deliberate, calculated cover-up. The fallout was catastrophic, but not just for the industry. The human cost is staggering. Millions of people were exposed, and even today, decades after its use was restricted, People are still being diagnosed with mesothelioma and other asbestos-related diseases. The latency period for these illnesses can be 20 to 50 years, meaning the consequences of the mid-century cover-up are still unfolding. Entire families have been devastated, losing loved ones who are simply trying to earn a living. The legacy of the asbestos cover-up is a powerful and tragic lesson. It shows how the pursuit of profit can lead to a complete disregard for human life. It reveals the immense power corporations can wield to manipulate science and public opinion. And it serves as a stark reminder of the importance of independent research, scientific integrity, and whistleblower protections. The asbestos industry knew. They had the data, they had the reports, they heard the warnings from their own doctors. But they chose to roll the dice with people's lives. It leaves us with a deeply unsettling question. How many other dangers are being hidden from us right now? Buried in corporate memos and suppressed studies, just waiting to be discovered? Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a like and subscribe for more deep dives into stories that matter. Stay curious,